In Jujutsu Kaisen, there are currently several sorcerers and curses alike that I think have the potential to, and most likely will surpass anything seen before in the series. But the character that I think stands atop all the rest in terms of his potential power and room to grow is none other than Megumi Fushiguro. When looking at the potential of a character such as Megumi, there are several factors that play into me thinking so highly of his potential. For starters, we know that Ryomen Sukuna, a narcissistic powerhouse of the Jujutsu Kaisen world, recognizes and perceives Megumi, even as early as chapter 6 in Jujutsu Kaisen, as someone who is not fully realizing and capitalizing on his own potential. During the fight versus Sukuna, Megumi shows that he is able to simultaneously fight with long-range attacks in zone with the Shikigami, as well as use his close quarters combat in order to enhance his combative capabilities and options. Sukuna actually comments on this, mentioning how unique this is when it comes to Shikigami users. Keep this in mind because this ties into a very integral point later in the video. We also see that in the manga, as time passes on, while not as naturally physically gifted as someone like Maki or Yuji, who are two just insanely athletic and powerhouses in terms of close quarters combat, he's actually able to fight alongside and keep up with these two in battle, which supports the idea that his close quarters capabilities are actually really high. But back to the Sukuna fight. Upon losing his restraints and letting the negative emotions flow out of him in a controlled and concentrated way, we visually see in the anime and manga alike that Megumi is about to unleash something extremely powerful, and Sukuna recognizes this as well. In fact, even before we see Megumi release his restraints and prepare to die, Sukuna mentions that his shadow-based Shikigami are adaptable, and even at this point arguably strong enough to take on a special grade, as Sukuna asks why someone with Megumi's technique would run even though the opponent was so powerful. As soon as Megumi starts chanting for his summoning, Sukuna gets excited and prepares for an interesting battle. Now, for the time being, keep this instance in mind as we continue to go through inklings of Megumi's untapped well of potential. In the arc that directly follows after the Kyoto Goodwill arc, we get insight that Megumi is now more than ever driven to become stronger. So much so that he actually goes to Gojo Satoryu, the strongest sorcerer, to train him and improve his abilities, even though he makes it very clear that he actually is bothered by having to come to Gojo. In this training session, Gojo makes a very interesting statement, in which he says very directly that Megumi's skills and potential are higher than that of Yuji Itadori's. Now, to say that the importance of this statement is huge would be a massive understatement in and of itself. For a character like Megumi Fushiguro to have more potential than our main character is something that I think needs to be put into a bit of perspective. Gojo is a character who, when it comes to analyzing power and ability due to his 6 size, is very capable of doing so to a very accurate degree. And earlier in the manga, in chapter 18, Gojo says that the new generation won't be limited to special grade. In this statement, 3 characters pop into his mind and into the frame of the manga: Todo, Yuta, and most important to this video and Megumi's potential himself, Yuji Itadori. What this means is that Gojo thinks that Yuji, as early as chapter 18 of the series, has the potential to surpass the realm of special grade, which even Gojo himself resides in. 2 things solidify this statement even further. 1, we've already seen Yuji take out a unique special grade curse that continuously evolved and grew as he fought, this curse being Mahito. And 2, in chapter 117 of the series, Gojo says that previously the head of the Gojo clan and the head of the Zenin clan went at it, and they killed each other in battle. What makes the second statement so interesting is the fact that both the Zenin clan head and the Gojo clan head had the same abilities as Megumi and Gojo do now. Meaning, or at least what Gojo is implying, is that Megumi and his ability possess the potential to be on par, if not completely surpass Gojo himself, who at this point is still the strongest. Now, for those wondering why exactly someone who has this much potential isn't one of the top tiers in the series, or even as strong as Yuji, who has grown exponentially during the Shibuya arc, the answer is rather simple. His mental state is what limits his power so severely. In the words of Gojo, the limiting factor for Megumi is the fact that he doesn't have the mindset that the strongest or highest potential characters in the series do. Whereas Megumi is the type of character to give a sacrificial bunt, Yuji or Gojo will selfishly swing for the fences without a care in the world, fighting and growing selfishly. This is clearly a metaphor for the way that they approach battle in Jujutsu sorcery as a whole, and this is clearly a theme that Gege Akutami likes to show throughout the series of Jujutsu Kaisen, even going so far as to have Sukuna tell Jogo that if Jogo was to selfishly want power and desire for it, he would have grown to be a much stronger curse than he already was. As soon as Megumi takes Gojo and Sukuna's word to heart, it decides to fight selfishly and shows a small hit of the insanity and arrogance that characters like Sukuna, Mahito, Yuji, and even Gojo show. Megumi develops not only as a character, but power-wise as he's able to reach, or at least scratch, the surface of the pinnacle of Jujutsu sorcery. While incomplete, Megumi is able to reach the peak of sorcery in mere moments of concentration. And even as he uses his domain expansion, Megumi pushes his imagination and interpretation of his technique and enters that realm of special grades as he defeats an even stronger curse than the special grade he ran from in the beginning of the series. With all of these things put together, it is very clear to see that Megumi not only has untapped potential, but very possibly has the most potential and skill out of any character that we've seen in Jujutsu Kaisen so far, which includes characters like Yuta Okkotsu. At the end of the day, however, this is all simply speculation and conjecture. But what if I told you that there was an example of what Megumi could do with the right mindset? For such an example, we have to peer back into the past and look at a character who was once considered the strongest right alongside Gojo. For this, we have to look at Suguru Ghetto. In the Gojo flashback arc, we get to see Gojo when he was a student at Jujutsu Tech, and with him, his best friend was Suguru Ghetto. And at this point in the series, before Gojo developed into the monster that he is now, Ghetto and Gojo were implied to be equals. Not only was Ghetto perfectly fine with picking fights with Gojo when he was annoyed, but Gojo himself, whenever referred to as the strongest, declared that they were the strongest. Never one or the other, but together, they, or I guess when Gojo was saying it, we were strong. The parallels between Megumi and Ghetto become painfully obvious when you call back onto something that Sukuna mentioned in his fight with Megumi, which I told you to hold on to in the beginning of this video. A Shikigami user who is equally okay fighting in close quarters combat and even thrives in that environment is something unique and actually enhances the potential and power of that combatant. And while Ghetto is a curse manipulator rather than a Shikigami user like Megumi, functionally, they are rather similar zoner types that have the ability to get up close and mix it up. As you may be able to recall from the flashback arc, when Ghetto is going up against another curse user, he actually baits them into a close quarters combat confrontation in which he completely handles and bodies this person without so much as batting an eye. So for someone with a very similar moveset and skill set as Megumi to be part of the strongest duo at some point in the series showed us not only possible, but it already has happened in the series that someone like this has become the strongest. And when you look at the crazy abilities and power that Noritoshi Kamo has cultivated in Ghetto's body, Megumi's potential seems like an unknown abyss that even monsters should fear. After hearing all of the arguments that I've laid out within the realm of this video and just hearing all the evidence I brought up, let me know what your thoughts are on Megumi having completely unrivaled and nigh limitless potential in the series. Just give me your thoughts and kind of ideas on that, because I am pretty interested. I know that people would probably lean more towards a Yuji or Yuta in this instance, considering they've gotten a lot more how should I say, a lot more implications. Maybe you could say that they have a lot of potential, but I think Megumi is pretty underrated, not only in terms of his character, which, trust me, I'm going to be doing on a video on that very soon, but I'm also, I think, in terms of his potential power and just how much he's actually holding himself back because of his mindset. So I am pretty interested in seeing the reception of this video. If you guys did enjoy and want to see me do manga theories on a more regular basis, I might even try to make a weekly thing out of it. If this video does well and people want to see more of it, let me know down in the comments and by hitting that like button, because those are the two biggest ways you can show me that you enjoy these videos. If you do want to see more and you want to make sure you get notified for these things, make sure you just subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss out on content like this. It also functions as a way to show your support for the channel. In any case, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Links similar will be linked down in the description below. And as always, this is Broken Ronin signing off.